So today I'm going to talk about something that I'm seeing happening in the stock market right now. I'm seeing a lot of investors try to do it, and the worst thing is I'm seeing people on YouTube start preaching about doing this, and it unbelievably blows my mind. Like, this is one of the worst things to be doing right now, and it's to do with timing the market. And a lot of people are now trying to time the market because we're in this kind of bear market, and unfortunately this is what happens. We have people in the bull market that generally only make money because we're going up in an upwards trend, and then we kind of hit these the tough times where it is hard, it's mentally testing, which is ultimately one of the biggest things in the stock market. Is more than most things is mentality and your mindset and having the patience, being in it for the long term gain, and when you're in it for the long term time frame, that's where you can get the most benefit from investing. And I'm seeing people kind of go from that kind of approach when you most need it to short-term mindset to trying to time the market. And I'm seeing this preached on YouTube by YouTube channels that have way too much more following, way more following than me. And it's really bad to see, and I don't know if that's just because the pressure has got to them. I don't know if it's because it's the first time going through a dip, this is the first time going through a bear market, but unfortunately that mindset is going to cost a lot of people and them a lot of money. And I thought, let's talk about the situation, hopefully save a few people from making this mistake. So yeah, this is what's going to happen. What we're going to talk about right now, and this is what happens. Unfortunately, it's the same. It's the opposite in the bull market as well. Like in the bull market, when we kind of get carried away, people do the wrong thing of like, oh, you know what, valuations don't matter. I'm just going to buy. It's always going to continue going up. And when we hit the bear market, it's the kind of like, oh, I don't want to buy. I don't want to invest in stocks. They're just going to keep going down. And it's this exact same motion in a bear market. And this quote sums it up perfectly. Which is about timing the market, which Warren Buffett's a big preacher about. Not whatever, no one is ever going to be successfully going to be able to time the market. And any kind of finance YouTuber that comes on here and says that, I've seen so many at the moment saying, oh, I'm going to try time the market, this is what's going to happen, I'm going to time it perfectly, it's not going to happen. And you know what, every so often there'll be one person that gets it right, but to consistently to time the market where it's going to bottom out is impossible. And if someone was able to do it, they would be the most successful manager, finance manager, hedge fund manager in history. Even the best of the best, Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, always tell you timing the market is impossible. You can't do it. And people, I'm seeing at the moment that people go, oh, you know what, I'm not going to buy now, it's going to go lower. It's impossible to tell. And this is a quote that I wanted to share with you, which is, so you have to never try time the market. In fact, nobody has ever done this successfully and consistently over multiple businesses or stock market cycles. Catching the tops and bottoms is a myth. It is so till today and will remain so in the future. And this is 100% true. And what I've seen right now is because we have so much fear out there, people going, oh, you know what, I'm gonna wait. This is a market that's gonna go lower. When this gets worse, the stock market's gonna go down even lower. That's impossible to tell right now. We do not know when the bottom of this stock market is going to be. We don't know. It could be next week, it could be a couple of months, it could be a year's time. We don't know where the bottom is in this stock market. No one does. And anyone that is here trying to tell you that they know where the bottom is, it's impossible. Don't get me wrong, there's a few times where I come on here and go, I think the market's going to move in this direction because so-and-so's happened. But even then, you'll always hear me in that video say, I could be wrong. I don't know where the market's going, but my instinct would tell me this is probably where we're going. But you would never see me trying to time the market. You would not see me buying and selling on them sort of instincts. I will always keep with the long-term mindset of time is my friend as a long-term investor, and I will not time the market, because if you time the market, you will miss the top and the bottom 100% on a long-term basis. For a consistency, you will not be able to do it. And you've already seen it already with a few people that are doing it. There's like the likes of Meet Kevin. The likes of Meet Kevin said, oh, you know what, it's going to get worse, I'm going to sell out. And because he had his cash on the sidelines, he was like, oh, do I get back in here? Do I get back in there? Tried buying in, boom, goes lower. Okay, I'm selling it all again. Already failed trying to time the market. And sometimes the worst thing is that some of these people tell you that, oh, they're doing it really well. They're not. No one can do it. Otherwise, they would be the greatest investor of all time. It's impossible. So do not listen to a lot of people out there at the moment that keep pushing that they know where the market's going. They know the market's going lower, because we do not know where the market is going. A prime example of this is through the CV times. Now, granted, this was a bit of a fast recovery, but out of nowhere, boom, CV dip happens. I will tell you right now, on the 20th of March, nobody would have told you that is the bottom of this dip. And that is exactly why you can't time it. And within 2 weeks' time, we've recovered, 10% of that dip. Within a month's time, we've already recovered, over half of that dip. Within 2 months' time, we nearly 24% recovered, and within kind of a 3 months period, we basically recovered the whole dip. And that's how quickly it could rebound. And it would, not many people at that point would say, okay, you know what, we're going to recover the 100% of this coronavirus dip, and who would know would actually be higher than where we were pre-pandemic within a couple of months, a lot higher. It wouldn't have happened. And if you tried to time the market, that would have been really hard to do, because you'd have to sell out at this point before you realise how bad that CV situation was going to get. You would have to know on the 20th of March, okay, this is the bottom, and then buy it all back in on that day and make that loads of money. And that's how quickly you can miss out on the returns. Rather than thinking, you know what, all I'm going to do is get that average into a decent amount. It doesn't have to be the bottom. You could be, 14% off the bottom, for example, on the CV dip. As long as you brought your average down, you make really nice returns there. And you don't have that pressure of, do I buy now? When's the bottom? When do I sell? And that's the big thing I'm seeing right now. And a few people are saying like, oh, you know what? When job numbers come out or so-and-so comes out, that's when it's going to get worse. And then we actually start seeing that all come in the right direction. We start seeing inflation numbers, coming back in the right direction and everything like that. It's too late. It's too late, because the stock market is future thinking. So you might see a lot of this pain in this, in the economy right now. But as soon as there's the glimmer of hope, that stock market flips so quickly. And that's what everybody's waiting for. And if you're trying to wait for that one moment, or if you're waiting for a certain amount of data, let's say, for example, you wait 2 months for the inflation numbers, and you want to see the inflation numbers come down, 2 months back to back. If you wait for that data, I can promise you it's too late. The stock market will already be putting a recovery and thinking, okay, this is the end of the looks like we could be at the end of the inflation data, looking really terrible. I'm going to buy now. It's too late, because everyone else on Wall Street will be thinking the same thing, and they would have already bought back in, and you would have missed out on that opportunity to capitalize. And that's the big thing with time the market. So that's the first thing. Don't listen to what I'm seeing right now, which is a lot of people think they are the greatest investor of all time that can pretend where the market's going. We don't know. In a week's time, 1 month's time, 1 year's time, we don't know where the market's going to be. The only thing you can do is position yourself in really good positions to capitalize when the recovery does happen. That's what Warren Buffett teaches you. That's what Peter Lynch teaches you. That's the first thing. The second point I want to make is listening to a lot of bear market channels out here. Because we're in a bear market, there's been a lot of success on the YouTube scene right now of channels that are bearish on the stock market. And it's really important that, obviously, they're having a lot of success at the moment because we're in a bear market, and like, oh, look, we're geniuses. We told you it's going to crash. Fair enough. If you've been saying that the stock market's going to have a crash soon, fair enough. The problem is that you listen to a lot of these negative channels, and a lot of these negative channels will have been telling you that, 24 months ago, we're going to be having this dip. I'm sure they would have been telling you when we're coming out of the CV dip, oh, don't buy just yet, because, the CV situation is going to get worse. We haven't seen the worst of it yet. And then what happens from there? Well, a lot of these channels that you're seeing that are really having success at the moment, and, showing off, going, look at this. I told you this was going to come down. Let's not forget, they've just missed one of the greatest runs in the S&P's history in the last 24 months. In this time period, even if you didn't catch the bottom, in that time period was one of the greatest runs ever. And if you were not involved in that greatest run ever, and if you were not buying, indexes or individual companies, you missed out on some terrific gains in that period of time. If you've been watching my YouTube channel, I'm ultra bullish on the stock market in the long term. As always, there's going to be time periods where you're going to have, a couple of dips, rough periods of time. But in the long term, the stock market's going to be consistently putting in, new highs, which you can see if I zoom out onto a max period of time. You'll see here, there's periods of times where it has periods where it doesn't do well, but over the long term, it generally, nicely goes in an uptrend. And a lot of these channels are jumping on the bandwagon now, saying, oh, look, said they were going to be crashing, we're down. Fair enough, but let's not forget that a lot of them people that have been on the sidelines through this period of time missed out on the amazing bull run, amazing opportunities. And the same things again now. You know, a lot of people are saying, oh, you know what, the stock market's going to go, you know, even lower from here. It potentially might do, but you shouldn't be, you know, gambling on that. The best thing to be doing is buying great companies, averaging in them positions, and then when the stock market does rotate into a bit of a bull cycle, you will capitalize on that. And the stock market isn't going to carry on going down forever. You know, it's had a fair chunk off it right now. It might go lower, but as long as you're averaging in them positions, when it does rotate, whenever that may be, and it will go back to putting in 52-week highs, as long as you're buying great companies or buying, you know, the index, for example, you will do well from the situation. And that's the main thing, is not to make the mistake of getting sucked into this negativity right now and focusing on the long term and building up great positions. That is what the priority should be right now. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Wanted to talk about that. I'd prefer to have done it on the whiteboard, but unfortunately, as you know, we still not got the whiteboard back. It should potentially be back in a couple of days' time. So yeah, we'll try to get that done for you. But I wanted to share this and try and save some of you guys from making this mistake of getting sucked into this negativity right now anyway. So yeah, good to be back. Had a few days off over the weekend. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you're new, subscribed, and I'll see you next video.